Hello there, guys.
Hello there, and welcome back for more punishment with us. Yay!
Everybody is saying hi. The Council of Nine is in session.
Yes, they are the Council of Nine, and they're here right here with us in our living room.
Greetings, Robbie. Good to see you. Number one tonight. Jen and Birds is following up. Number two. Andy Lou Who over in the heart of Texas. So good to see you guys. It's been just wow. What a crazy ride it is here on planet Earth. May 6th, 2026. May 6th, 2026. 20 years ago, would you have thought it would be like it is today? I mean, seriously. I wonder what you guys thought 20 years ago. Let's go back to like 2006. Or maybe if you can remember all the way back in 2001, pre-September 11th. Could you imagine that we'd be where we are right now at this point in time? Did you think we would already have had full disclosure and introduction to ETs on TV or on YouTube? Did you think we would have already had WW3? Did you think that it would be a perfect golden age? What did you guys think going back 25 years ago, let's say? Lots has happened.
I don't know, a lot. It takes a minute. Like when they say, well, go back and 20 years. And for me, I need to have like, what year was that? So in 2006, oh my gosh, my life was in such shambles. It was a mess. So I don't really remember anything. I remember like survival. That's what I remember then. When was it that I kind of had my awakening and was starting to realize that there was something more? Probably around 2012 is when I was starting to have my awakening and starting to learn about frequencies, and that there was more than what was being shown. And that actually took form because of a very, very traumatic event. Unfortunately, it did take a very traumatic event in my life for me to question the narrative and the death care system, believing for a minute that they were here to help us, and then all along suddenly something happens and you realize they don't know anything. They're just there to pay their bills. They're not there because they care or they want to be healers or anything like that. They're there to follow procedure. So I just want to say hi to everybody in the room. And there's Miss Rosemary, Surrealist. Good to see you guys. DJ. Angelica Do, 1972. Good to see you in the house. Ron Simpson. George Claus. Good to see you. Hello there, Emperor Rex. It's good to see everybody. I don't know. I probably did miss somebody. But I am happy to see Rosemary, because Rosemary, she's been very helpful, and she's been a huge blessing in our lives for us going through our ups and downs, and, just having someone to bounce stuff off of. It's like, hey, what about this and what about that? And then a lot of you guys have been on this journey with us. So I think the next step was 2017. Then everything took a huge leap for me as far as realizing that, hey, something is off.
Mm-hmm. Ron says, how about 1976? I remember 76, and 76, the big event for me was the Kiss concert with Judas Priest opening up. That was my big event. Yeah, it was my first concert ever. The iPhone came out what year? I don't know. Probably somewhere around there, KK. Good to see you as always. Yes, please do like, share, subscribe. Recognize on YouTube we have 3 channels. I know everybody. We were just listening to the Angry Astronaut, and he always gives us a laugh or two. And he was just saying that he's never been hit so hard by YouTube's algorithms. Everybody's in the same boat. It's like if you were getting 3,000-4,000 views, now they're going to give you 500. it's just what they're doing, because this is the time where they're going to twist the screws. They're turning the screws. They're going to make it more difficult just to do normal things. Again, the Polish psychic Krzysztof Tchaikovsky, who was gone for a few days, I did see he had a live schedule yesterday, and it didn't happen. I had never seen that before. But he did do a live. I haven't listened to it yet. But he basically said that with everything that's going on, the governments are going to tell us it's going to take about 8 years or so to get back to where we were economically before everything fell apart. So we're in that falling apart phase right now. And I think, again, we can change things just by working together and doing what we can to support each other. That's what we got to take out of this. It's time for us not to trust or rely on any government. Break down the word government. 2 parts. Govern, what does that mean? To control. And the ment stands for mental thoughts. So it's literally government means mind control. And they have been controlling our minds. They've been doing things like what the Rockefellers have done in buying up all the alternative, what was at that time the mainstream universities as far as health care went. And then they shut them all down and they opened up all of their own, basically pushing big pharma. And I'm so glad to see now dozens and dozens of channels popping up everywhere, all over YouTube. And they're exposing this. Now, we've exposed this for 9 years. So many others have, and it's wonderful. Unfortunately, now it seems like so many of the new channels are just AI clones. But I'll take the information getting out there in any way, shape, or form, because it is about awakening everyone.
Yeah, I mean, the information getting out there is great. Unfortunately, it's going to start being nudged in a direction that's favorable to the controllers, So what I feel is they're going to get people to trust the AI information as it is, maybe give legitimate information, but then start to sway, once they get their hooks in people and people are like, hey, wow, this is cool. Now they have them kind of by the nose and, the AI can start to sway you. It's just a subtle little nudge, or it's a little hint, or it's, drop this little bit of information, and slowly it starts to take over. So that's my problem with the AI. Not that the information's getting out, it's just what's going to happen after people are following it, and there's a big group of them. But and then I as far as the technology goes, it's not even anything wrong with the AI, it's how it's used. That is so critical that we never lose sight of that. It's how it's used. And right now it's not being used in a very positive way. Right now it's being used to chase power and money, and nothing is standing in its way. And this is definitely what we wanted to talk about today. So we appreciate everyone who's joined us so far, because we're setting an intention today that we're going to start bringing back or gaining back our rights and our land. I mean, there's so many people out there that are just losing sleep, losing their sanity, losing power, because these data centers, they're just plopping them down. And now instead of people being able to complain about it, they just slapped a label and say, well, it's a military operation, so you can't do anything. I mean, that's just not okay. That really, really got to me today. That is not okay. So I'm hoping you guys will help us and join us in making some positive change out there. Please hit the like.
Yeah, so I also saw a lot of comments about ticks. Yeah, right now, it's like I have a couple of spots that we took ticks off in the last couple of days. I've been bit hundreds and hundreds of times by ticks. And, I've had Lyme disease officially diagnosed over 25 years ago. And, again, they say that once it's in your system, it's always there. You could just knock it, make it dormant. That's what we have to do. We have to be on guard. We have to be trying to keep our health as perfect as it could be. regardless of our circumstances, because we are in a very toxic environment. It's like, gosh, what was that? There was a great comedy where it was a good line talking about, how you feel like you're surrounded and getting attacked from every angle, kind of like back in high school in the halls. Well, again, this time it's just Big Brother. That it's Big Brother doing all this, and we know that. We know, and it still is happening. So, as always, guys, thank you so much for all your support. Again, those supporting us on Patreon, also on YouTube memberships. Just want to make everybody aware there is a very severe storm system from Mississippi over into Louisiana, and it's going to be heading over towards the east. There's been tornado warnings issued for various places, including like the Jackson area. It's just the storms. It's weird. I thought today was going to be a rain out, so we planned accordingly because it was showing it's going to be a rain out. And at least for where we are now, it really hasn't done anything more than a tiny little bit of sprinkles. We got a lot of yard work done early out there, and we did some planting and things. And then, we worked on clients as we meet with you guys regularly all the time with energy work, Vedic astrology, again, biofield tuning, life coaching in general. And it's wonderful. I mean, we love interacting with you guys. It's just so good to get to know you on a deeper level and, have you guys as friends and family. And so many of you have been with us for years and years. So just be aware, there's a lot of tornado warnings up. Again, right now I'm looking mostly at Mississippi and Louisiana. Oh, here you go. Now, this is a Box Elder County Commissioner. This is in Utah, where they just passed the data center while everybody was saying no on the top of their lungs.
I personally am extremely frustrated. I didn't take this role on. I didn't get into the legislature. I certainly didn't get into the commission to do things to hurt people. That's never been my character. My whole personality is to do what's right by the people, if at all possible. And all I was trying to do is follow the law, follow what it tells me I'm supposed to do. I listen to attorneys, I listen to experts to say, this is really where you should go. This is what you should do because this is within the law. And I've done it. And now I'm being personally attacked. I'm being accused of taking bribes and all kinds of things that are just not true. They're just lies. And they continue to escalate. And now I'm being told that my family's being targeted. I literally have police officers in front of my house. And that's not fair to me, but it's especially not fair to my family. And it's not fair to either of the other two commissioners either. And I have county employees that are nervous about their safety as well. And that is not the American way. It's certainly not the way of people in Utah. And I know it's not the way Box Elder County residents should be behaving. And I don't think it is the Box Elder County residents. I'm hoping it's not Utah residents. But to know that people are coming to protest and picket in front of our homes just makes me sick.
Yeah. So you and the other two have got
really, let's keep listening.
Death threats and other threats like that.
Yes. And that's discouraging to me. We're doing our job, doing what we thought we were doing to protect our county and protect the citizens of this county and do what we constitutionally are required and obligated to do. We have received threats against our families and against us personally. And that is absolutely discouraging when there's no profit in this for me. In fact, I've been sick physically for over a week trying to reconcile and try to figure out how we could resolve this in the best interest of the people of Box Elder County. And that's realistically where we came up with yesterday is what we felt like was the very best circumstance for the citizens of Box Elder County, even if they don't appreciate it to this point.
And again, this is about the data centers, in case you missed it. The Box Elder County Commission allowed the data center to be built despite overwhelming community resistance. And so, again, it's supposed to be the will of the people. And if all the people feel there's something wrong here, this is not good, this is not healthy, this is something that's going to be impacting everybody's life in a negative way, They should listen. That's the bottom line. They should listen. And so now he's scared for his own life and his family life. But again, we've been through something in 2020 that I think has it's gotten a lot of people to the point where they're not going to go for it again. They're not going to go for anything that being forced on us. And you got to realize the world is at its breaking point. It's just about there. And when we get to that point, that's when real change will happen. Because who is he listening to? The experts. Who are the experts? Those that are funded and paid to give one side of the story. Again, it's in the name of expansion. It's in the name of higher internet speeds. It's what? No. We could see right through what's happening. Most people can now. I think they could at least detect that something is amiss.
I think most people are over it when it comes to, this is for faster internet speeds. This is for technology. People are just done. And even though I do not condone anyone harassing anyone else, this guy, I have a feeling that he knew going in what would happen, and he did it anyway. You don't get in this position saying what he's saying with these accusations thrown at him for doing absolutely nothing, for being 100% innocent. You just don't get in the seat that he's in, So there's karma. There's karma at play. And we all have to face karma for the things that we do. If we act out of spite, we have to deal with that in some way, shape, or form. If we act out of, needing to just show that we're in control over another person, well, there's going to be karma for that too. And we can never, ever forget that. And karma, karma is not this thing that seeks us out. It's just something that happens. It's a reaction. So there's certain universal truths that, and one thing is you get back what you put out. So he's done something when it comes to betrayal and people feeling like, they've been lied to. Well, he's simply going to get back what he put out there, and he put it out there in a really big way. Now, we don't know everything about this. Maybe his life was threatened if he didn't go along with something. Maybe his family was threatened if he didn't go along with the data centers. We don't know exactly, but there's still karma.
Yeah, exactly. And we recognize that the system has failed everybody. It's failed everybody miserably. 2020 should tell everybody, and the years that followed that, just how miserably the system failed us. This system's got to go. It's going to go at some point in time. It's just a matter when people say that they're done with it. We are not accepting it anymore. And, that's what the people were saying, but they got ignored. And so, where do you go with this? Well, I guess if they're not representing, if the council is not, the commission's not representing the will of the people, then the commission needs to be removed. We need to do things in a different way. Maybe, remove the entire commission, hold elections, and, elect a new commission or an entirely new way of doing things. This is talking about Florida's skies turning black. Data centers are poisoning us. Data center death machines are here, and they're choking us out in the broad daylight. And you could see, hear the smoke coming from them. It's new noise pollution. It's pollution of every kind. It's energy pollution. And it's really, the energy that's coming off of these things is truly toxic to the planet. It's toxic to our souls.
Where's all these people that were talking about, keeping the planet green? I mean, where they used to be coming out of the woodwork, and as long as it was laws that they wanted passed, as long as it was their bank accounts that were getting fluffed, and this is just so wrong on every level. And there's got to be, I feel like we are on the cusp of something. We're definitely on the cusp of how much more are we truly going to tolerate? What will you do if one comes in your area? You know, what do we do? And I think the more local we can get, if we are involved locally, that's really going to help. It's just there's a select handful of people that are being offered some pretty hefty bank accounts if they just go along with the plan. So again, it's a few up against the many, and we are the many, and we can't forget how much power that we have inside of us to create positive change. I know we can turn this train around. Something is going to give here, and it's not too far away.
No, and in Georgia here.
This is our cold water pressure in the kitchen. This is where I fill up water for storage. Those are the things we have to fill up to flush the toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center. Wow, and that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah. And this is what's in all the pipes.
Just the well itself is probably 20,000, and that's not counting any of the
All the
faucets,
replacement
yeah.
of the fixtures and faucets
just
and
the well.
toilets and the lines that come underneath the house. It's overwhelming because you really feel like you are up against this huge wall that you can't penetrate. There's nothing that you can do, and they don't care.
I'm here in Mansfield, Georgia, driving by Meta's new 2 million square foot data center facility. Facilities like this are being used to power things like ChatGPT and other AI tools that are becoming integrated into our daily life.
Yeah, again, how did this pop up so quick? I mean, they popped up so quick, and Americans who live next to these AI data centers are seeing their power bills skyrocket by as much as 267%. We saw ours go up because of like a tax or something they were collecting for the data centers.
Yeah, so just everything so very, very wrong with the AI, the way the AI is taking over. And I see that Martine says her apartment complex now has an AI, and it messaged me about my rent. You blocked it, and when I would too, just block it. That's trash. That's awful. And it's being used. But the problem is these AI agents are creating more agents, and they're actually losing track of their own agents, these other AI agents. And it's becoming a mess. And I've heard some pretty big banks have had to be shut down, and at least temporarily, because they spent all this money on AI agents, and it's going in and screwing up accounts and making all the wrong moves, just because it was the AI agent is trying to complete an initial directive, but they didn't map out all of the possibilities that could happen in trying to complete a particular directive, if that makes any sense. They couldn't plan on how much of a mess all of these AI agents are taking. And look, the data centers, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah, I really think there's a strong correlation between the data centers and the end result of the Georgia Guidestones, the Deagle report. We had mentioned the Deagle report was for 2025. But, it doesn't mean that they're not a year or two behind schedule. Again, our will affects a lot. So, this is just absolutely ridiculous. They just force everything down our throat. And it doesn't matter. You don't live in a democracy. And we don't live in any real freedom. It's all just an illusion. This is Mike Adams. By the way, we can't post on Brightian, and they haven't been able to figure out why. We've put up thousands of videos on Brightian. We probably have 4,000 videos on Brightian, and we haven't been able to post in the last 2 weeks, but like once or twice. So it's wild. And then BitChute won't let us post anything that's over 20 minutes. So, even these other alternative places, they're still under control because, again, there's always the hidden control beyond what anybody sees. So he put together a global map of every data center under construction or planned for construction. Shows a staggering 3 to 3,500 data centers being built or already announced to be built, consuming 190 gigawatts of power when completed. They will consume over 1,000 square kilometers of land and 15 plus billion liters of water per year in all. This is insane when you think about it. And the impact on climate change, this dwarfs everything that we're actually doing.
You know, and I just want to point out, it really does not matter who's in charge. It's like this plan, the controllers plan on moving it forward. It doesn't matter who's calling themselves president. It just doesn't matter who's saying that they're in charge, you know. And I've always known that, but I really felt it as soon as they slapped that, oh, this is a military operation. As soon as they slapped that label on the data centers, that was like a punch in my gut, because I know that there's something coming. And they're just plowing forward. So in a way, even if we do scream and yell and throw a fit at the data centers, it doesn't matter. They're going to do it anyway. So we have to work on a different level. Like, we have to work in a different way, you know. And this is where quantum energy allows us to work in different ways.
Yeah. You know, when you look at this too, I mean, we see the U.S. is loaded with them. So is Europe, of course. And we see them throughout China, some of India, down there in Australia. You know, it looks like you have less in Africa and South America. It was interesting too, because it was one of Christoph's visions where he saw that people were the most free in this area. Again, I think that things are going to break down. I don't think countries are going to be the same. It's already switching to the realization that corporations are much more higher up the totem pole than countries. This farmer, fourth generation California pear grower, they shut off my water right before harvest. They're killing my farm on purpose. They ordered shutoffs right before harvest, killing everything. Control the farmer, control the food, control everybody. Yeah, you know, of course, California, one of the nicest states climate-wise, you know, and, you know, topographically, but, you know, governmentally, you know, farther along on, you know, the Weaver's plans than many others. You know, I thought this was really interesting because we've had a lot of talk about time travel. Let's give it a moment, see if it gets reconnected or if they're just going to be that way again tonight. Let's see. Can you guys hear us? It looks like we're okay. It's strange. Just if anybody could say, yep, we can hear you, just let us know. There you go. Researchers proposed a theoretical approach that could allow messages to be sent into the past using principles from quantum mechanics. So what this article talks about is that there was a study done. They think we could send messages from the future into the past. Not necessarily transport entire beings, cellular-wise, but messages, information. And of course, it's always fascinating to look at the Mandela effect and wonder, you know, timeline shift every time you see a Mandela effect.
Yeah, those Mandela effects are certainly interesting. I know I've seen a couple pop up very, very recently. But yeah, I mean, everything that's going on right now, all the stuff with the data centers, all the new technologies. I mean, this is really a time where I think that we can inject our energy and make a change.
So they talk about the movie Interstellar and getting messages back to the past so that we don't do something or we do something. Like, yeah, would future humanity be sending a message through to say don't allow the data centers to happen? because there'll be some sort of ultimate end result like Terminator going on. You got to wonder. But yeah, it looks like that is definitely a possibility as far as time travel. And of course, so much talk about the 1900s, the last president, Barron Trump's adventures, all that time traveling stuff. It's almost like those that really know just love to constantly give us little tidbits to chew on, but never give us anything solid and substantial.
That's their game.
Meanwhile, floods and landslides leave 18 dead, over 60 missing across Kenya. Globally, the weather situation is not improving, and there should be none of this. Well, Kilauea erupting, ultimately Hawaii's getting bigger. There will be more islands and a lot more landmass in the Pacific at some point in time, and also in the Atlantic. But 46, this is episode 46, ends after 9 hours of lava fountaining. And you had Tephra reaches Highway 11 in Hawaii. Yeah, the bigger scheme of things, I think the real earth changes, they really haven't even begun yet, I don't think, the big ones. Because they're coming, and ultimately the earth will do her thing, and the sun will do its thing to, again, take care of at least stalling or stopping the progress of the AI takeover that is much more than just here on Earth.
I've heard reports coming out of the West Coast. If anyone has heard any really strange rumblings, say midnight-ish last night on the West Coast up there by Oregon and Washington, just really, really strange noises, and any feelings, anything. I just want to throw it out there, so if someone hears this video maybe later or even now, if you guys heard anything, because I know some people that were really disturbed by it just last night. Everything just shook for like 5 minutes straight, just rumbles and everything, no explanation at all.
Yeah, we've noticed some strange rumblings beyond truth. I know you're up in Canada, I think over in that area too. Have you noticed any strange rumblings up there? By the way, Vancouver breaks daily heat record set in 1898 as temperatures rise across British Columbia. 75, that sounds wonderful. It actually broke the all-time record of 72 over 128 years ago. So a new study says that New York and New Orleans are among the most flood-prone U.S. cities. So just be aware of that if you're in either location. Of course, New Orleans, so much of it is below sea level. So the big question, sea level is going to rise or are they going to fall? It is an interesting question. The guides had warned us when we were looking to settle in a place where you could grow things well. I had loved living in South Carolina. I loved living in Florida. And, we were thinking about getting a little bit farther south and close to the coast because I just love it. However, the guides had warned, to not get too close. There's this 100-mile buffer zone from the coastline. So this is showing, some of the places that you would be more prone to serious flooding and all. But we saw, Asheville's way over here, and, they got pounded with Helene, the remnants of Helene. And other inland areas have had serious floods too. But I do think, again, it's really about creating your own personal bubble, which is done through a daily spiritual practice, rooting and grounding, having a good meditative practice, being in tune with the intuition, because each of us has a different path.
Oh, absolutely. We have different paths. So that spiritual practice is critical. And once you start getting these urges and these signals and signs, whether maybe you're supposed to relocate somewhere or maybe you're not. Maybe you're content where you're at, even though things are going to be hard. And that's fine. That's totally fine. If you've built up your own network of people in your area, and you just have friends, family, good neighbors, that's definitely something. You're ahead of the game right there. And then other people might not feel so sure. They might feel, well, maybe I should do something different. But that spiritual practice, that'll bring that to the forefront.
Absolutely. What do we have here? We talked about all the gas and oil components, different refineries, etc., anything to do with it going up in flames. This was actually silver. 3.4 million ounces of annual silver production went offline after a massive explosion and fire. This is in Kazakhstan. 2 workers were killed, 5 others injured. Deadly explosion and fire at Glencore's Kazink facility in Kazakhstan. A dust collection unit in the smelting electrolysis section exploded while workers were cleaning a smoke extractor. It triggered a fire, and we had that whole thing as OBS is going on and off here. With silver skyrocketing, gold skyrocketing. I know gas is over $4 a gallon. It's never been that way around here. Typically, we were like 240s, 230s to 250s. And I think, was it 414 or 424? Wow, that just, man, they are really milking us.
They are, and if you guys, they keep trying to knock us offline. If you guys could please hit the thumbs up to help the algorithms just recontact people and help pull people in. We would really appreciate it. It's just hard when all the technology that you have to use to get the word out is against you.
Well, it is their technology ultimately. It's the system's technology. This is John Graff. He's a nutritionist, a chemist, an agribusiness executive. And he's talking about that M period, R period, N period, A period stuff, entering our food chain, saying that we do not buy farm-raised fish or shrimp. Nothing. Because if you really look at it, it's full of crap. And so we never buy any fish or shrimp that is farm raised, only wild caught, and then check the labels. There's a couple brands of shrimp that we had shrimp tonight that you could get that, again, don't have anything but just shrimp. Others have all sorts of preservatives and sometimes dyes and sometimes, even worse things in there.
Yeah. Just even if you get something like a package of shrimp, turn it over, look at the ingredients. Even though it just appears to be shrimp in there, look at the ingredients. And even on your favorite ice creams, look at the ingredients again. When it says the bioengineered food, you just don't know what's in that because they've passed so many laws to allow a plethora of stuff all in that one little word, bioengineered, and you just don't know which stuff it's going to be, what's going to be in there.
Yeah, well, we are basically, from a Gulf state. Sin Havoc says try to get fish and shrimp from the Gulf of Mexico. So that's what we do. And, also local caught is always better. Because you just don't know what's in it. There's so much stuff in there. And how about Lyme disease? Cases increased from 30,000 in 2020 to 456,000 in 2025. It has to be by design. Again, all sorts of people finding boxes out there in the middle of nowhere. This is so sad. This is a deer that's just all overcome by ticks, and it's just really sad. We love the deer. We feed them every night, and we watch them play. It's pretty wild. It's a blessing to be out here. We just had a fox in front of the window. We have some big healthy fox. This one looked pretty. No, it looked really skinny. I haven't seen one that skinny in a long time. I don't know why, because they always seem to be pretty healthy around here.
Well, it wasn't too long ago when it was all over the news that they were quietly dropping certain vaccines for a certain type of thing out all over the United States. So I don't know. I mean, it could have eaten something like a poison mouse. We don't know, but we do know that they have been dropping those ouchies all over.
Yeah. There's more than just Lyme disease. Alpha-gal, that's where you get allergic to red meat. I literally was reading a case of a guy that literally had just recently gotten bit, and then that supposedly took him out because of the allergy to what was his normal dinner. Anaplasmosis, bacterial infection causing fever, headaches, muscle pain. Babesiosis is caused by parasites, also can infect red blood cells. This killed my my pit bull when I got sick. He got bit too. Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Yeah, that's a bad one. Powassan virus too can cause brain inflammation. Yeah, we all know who's doing this. We all know some of the people that are behind this. Thousands, millions of people probably understand really the bigger picture, and nothing's being done. Nothing. Look at this news article again, and dated. They're doing it right in front of our faces. Yep. One tick bite and steak becomes poison. Absolutely. And we were talking also, again about, this is horrible, right? This is just, it's purely demonic. These beings are demons. This is what they are. Oh yeah, there's no such thing as directed energy weapons. Of course there are. It's been, again, something that is just out there for public knowledge. How about all those fires? Do you think there could be any fires that were started by perhaps lasers? This right here goes back to 2008. High energy laser directed energy weapons. Technical report. It's all right there. Again, this is a military operation now. This is what they're talking about with the data centers. Well, 2020 was a military operation. The thing is, the military, they don't serve us. They serve the overlords of the dark control matrix.
I still get frustrated to this day because there's a lot of channelings out there that talk about, these white hats, they're coming to save you. And I don't see it. I haven't seen it. I don't see it. I saw it for a minute because it sounded like a great idea. But really, I just think it's more about keeping us complacent until, they're done doing. And it is just really frustrating that they use the hopium the way that they do. And they, they address people in a way that it's just, it's parasitic as well, giving people the hopium. That's also parasitic. So it's like we have to live in a world with realistic values and understandings, but it should at least be fair. I guess that's my main complaint. It just does not feel fair. It feels like the cards are stacked against those who really, truly want to do something.
Yeah, it takes me back to the Mahabharata. So, what would Krishna do? You remember the old thing? What would Jesus do? Well, I know what Krishna would do. Krishna would say, you got to fight. You have no option. You have to resist evil wherever it is. It's just really, if we're on the ascension path, then we have to resist the evil. We have to awaken as many. We have to work together to, again, overcome a system that works through greed. If you eliminated greedy people, Why do we always find the greedy people at the top of the political schemes? And this, by the way, is showing you a little directed energy weapon, low tech. Things like this can be, again, created by very, very, well, let's say people that might be very good at engineers. Yeah, again, just get a drone, start fires, and then blame it on climate change. That's exactly what they do in order to install taxes, more taxes on us for our carbon emissions. Again, it's just the system. There's one system. It looks like many systems, but it's only one system. And this is a doctor here, Enrico Melson, talking about chemtrail lung. Because again, we're taking in all the ball, the barium and aluminum. This is real. I mean, there's so much that we shouldn't be taking in that we are. I keep noticing too, it's like our air is, when it should be very, very healthy, the ratings are like acceptable, barely acceptable. Where is this coming from? Because we don't have any wildfires around here, and really there's no big factories around us close, so I don't know why the air quality is not that good. Could have anything to do with all the different governmental programs of spraying.
Yeah, it could be a little something like that.
Meanwhile, this is supposedly in China. That's a pretty cool shot. So the angry astronaut was talking about people saying, oh, the only UFO encounters are in the United States, and that's because the UFOs are literally just the U.S. military, and the rest of it's just a mass hallucination. So he was focusing on UFOs, UAPs, from mostly South America and other Southern Hemisphere locations. And we covered most of those ourselves in the previous week. But again, it's good to point out, there's paid debunkers out there. There's tons of paid debunkers. It's just part of what the system does. They're always trying to debunk something when they want to slow that roll. But no, there's sightings all over the world. They are increasing, and they're getting to be more spectacular. And this also comes with the realization of AI and these computer programs. The AI has always been here. Why do they want us to know about it now? Because they're going to the place where they can't hide everything like they've been able to in the past. It's going to come out. It's going to be mainstream knowledge. They have to control the narrative as best as they can. So they're trying to get ahead by admitting, again, that there are other beings here. They will still try to control the narrative and utilize it for their benefit. David Grush, UFO disclosure is going to escalate rapidly now in the next 60 to 90 days. Yeah, this, I think it's even before we get to summer, but the summer is going to be a very hot one when it comes to disclosure and events. He revealed the UFO disclosure plan is escalating fast. It's about to go into hyperdrive. I do have confidence that it's going to escalate in the next 60 to 90 days. It's going to be a lot of pressure. The UAP whistleblower now advising Congress says lawmakers are ramping up with subpoenas, declassified pushes, Chairwoman Luna's efforts, and calls for a formal disclosure plan under the current administration. Do you think we'll finally see real transparency on non-human intelligence in the next 60 to 90 days? Or will the secrecy hold? Yeah, they've already given us a ton. And I do think, too, like with Anna Paulina Luna, I gotta feel she's just simply controlled opposition doing her part. It's just that's the vibe I get. They're telling us a lot of truth, but again, it's with a purpose.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're giving it to people they know that they can control, and the people that they can control everything that comes out of their mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. Renee, good to see you all as well. And claims are exploding online that the U.S. government's been holding secret meetings with pastors to prepare them for possible alien disclosure. Critics are now asking a disturbing question. Why would the same government accused of hiding information for decades suddenly care about preparing Christians for what's coming next? The firestorm erupted after a prominent televangelist claimed pastors were warned about UFOs, reptile-like creatures, and materials allegedly not from our planet. But skeptics say this sounds a lot less like transparency and more like psychological conditioning. Psychological conditioning is her wearing the cross, just plain and simple, just saying it, while talking about this. Mm-hmm. What does that tell you? It by putting that on, it says, I'm one of you. For all those that don't want to hear about alien life elsewhere because somehow it damages their worldview, she's saying, I'm on your side. Again, I think so much that comes out from this source, the Daily Pulse and stuff, again, most of it we're going to find ourselves in agreement with. But we recognize that anything that gets big has to do so at the blessing of the system. So when you find those real little channels that struggle to get 1,000 views, they might have something to offer. And that's just the reality of it. It's just it's conditioning. And, again, having her there, red can be a very aggressive color. Red and black is a color scheme that's used a lot in certain sales. I'm just looking at this. If she didn't have the cross on, that would change a lot. It really would. But again, everything that we watch, we have to realize it's all psychological warfare.
It's the us versus them. And as long as you are pushing a major us versus them, then they're going to have then you're going to be better. But if you are pushing something like peace and harmony and, hey, we need to take our world back and we need to do it together. If you're preaching, hey, we need to push our differences aside and get over our little hang-ups so that we can come together and make a difference, then you're not going to get too far. There's just, you're just not. And I haven't seen too many that do. I think us and Wayne's channel and Nina's channel, and, it's like we struggle for every little bit of information that does go out there. And that's, again, you guys, thanks for your support. We really, truly couldn't do it without you. Without you, there is no us. And please, please, please remember that.
Here you have a Christian Zionist pastor attended the secret meeting with government officials about how to reveal the existence of aliens. So this is they're coaching this now. This is how you should handle it.
We need to get this in front of every believer, every Christian that we possibly can. This year there is coming a massive disclosure. The truth, as the government knows it, about UFOs and UAPs is going to be disclosed to the population. The Trump administration is going to attempt to make history in an historic announcement where they're going to say that these non-terrestrial interdimensional beings are real and that we do have unexplained phenomenon among us. This is going to be huge. Many so-called Christians are going to be taken captive by it. We have got to speak on this first. They need to hear it from us first. They need to hear from us what the Bible has to say about it. This is an urgent call to every pastor and church leader, including the ones who mocked me when I released this book and said I'd gone off the deep end. Of course, they didn't read the book. They didn't know what I said about it. It's time for every single pastor to teach on this. What does the Bible say about non-human entities? Now you have...
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people realize that, but what you got to do is go beyond the Bible. Go to like the root sources of where a lot of it comes from. And it paints a very different picture. And thankfully, it feels to me, maybe just because of the circles that I've found myself in more, that at this point in time, there's way more people talking about the Sumerian texts and about the Anunnaki than really talking about the Bible.
Well, yeah, you absolutely have to go beyond the Bible, because the Bible is what's pushed. That's our mainstream, just like CNN, just like anything mainstream. The Bible is mainstream. Are you going to trust the mainstream? If not, we really need to go beyond that. Of course, there's good nuggets in there. Of course, there's good wholesome information in there.
There's some
But
stuff
that's
not.
and there's a lot of stuff that's not. But we're searching for truth, and I think when you're searching for truth, you can't allow yourself to be stopped by someone who says, "Hey, you can only search within this little sandbox. You cannot go out of this sandbox for truth." If someone says that, that's when you need to get out of that sandbox and go find your own truth. But that's kind of what did it for me. As soon as I was told, "Hey, you need to just trust what's in here." Well, then I'm like, well, why? But why? What else is out there? And that, then the truth is out there for you.
Yeah, anytime anything leaves you feeling like you're being sold something, then there's a different agenda there. And this is Bob Lazar talking that he believed the origin of the UFO craft that he worked on came from Zeta Reticuli. Again, a lot of the grays come from Zeta Reticuli. So yeah, there's been so much disclosure, so much already. Here you go. This was from Louisiana. This is a large whitish craft transversing the sky. And they tried to get a photo of it. Oh, I know this feeling when you're just trying to see, do I got it? Do I got it? Do I got it?
All right, come on. Oh, I got it. It won't focus. Hang on. Take the autofocus off your camera. Do you know how to do that? Nope. Me neither. Kind of got it.
Well, just another UFO in Louisiana.
Just another UFO. Just one more. One more.
There's just so much coming out, guys. It is fun to see this. Here you have a former NSF program director now openly saying she's 95% certain multiple non-human species are interacting with humanity. Yeah, wow. Okay, again, NSF. We've had so much disclosure. And this is Ross Coulthart. It's all right there. So it's really go time. Get ready, because why would the big guy, why would 47 be so hell-bent on this? Because this is part of his main job. One of his main duties is to be the one, and he might not even get to really do it. But we'll see. We'll see what the timeline is. But it's, the current administration is going to be the one that introduces us to the next stage. Because, as I've shared with you guys, I've always felt when you talk about the Antichrist of Revelation, that it's not human. It's absolutely not human. Then you have the 666. Why do they say it's a human number? Again, some have thought way back that it's translating 666 into Caesar Neron, again in Hebrew, and then also in some other systems, letters also have a numerical value. It could be both ways. And it literally could be translated. Some say Revelation was really all about Nero and, the destruction of Jerusalem and the aftermath of that, after the end of the Third Temple. Well, I think, there's a lot of people that believe that one of the things that Trump's supposed to do is literally to introduce what many people will expect to be the Antichrist to us, or others will view it as the first coming of a Messiah. Again, it's just really wild where we are. I think we're going to go deep into the Twilight Zone in probably just a couple months.
Yeah, and I don't think it's any coincidence that they keep putting out these photos with the president with these huge, super tall, gray, white, alien-looking beings. In a way, what they have done with our subconscious is that they've seeded it. They've always seeded it before the thing really happens. So even if we think we're watching entertainment, like look how many movies where things happened, after the movies, and then we go back in hindsight's 2020 and we're like, oh wow, yeah, that movie told the story pretty darn good, didn't it? I think they're telling us the story right now.
Remember we had talked about the fact that, again, the Jewish tradition doesn't recognize Yeshua, Jesus, as a Messiah. They're still waiting for their Messiah, and their Messiah is a political, yes, a religious figure, but it's really more of a political figure that's going to bring about the greater Israel that is happening now before our eyes, with Lebanon and expansion into many other countries, and literally making the center of the NWO Jerusalem.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, this is really the biblical perspective on this. And when I see this, IWNH, it reminds me of, it reminds me of Yod Vahe, again, Jehovah, Yahweh. It also reminds me of Inri a little bit. It's just the symbolism too. But here you have a little blue check mark, which means, that you're okay by Twitter. Sure, you're verified by Twitter. Yeah, that just means you're paying a monthly due. Meanwhile, alleged UFO filmed near Nellis Air Force Base, April 19th, 2026. A lot of people have been looking at this. We've showed this before. People are clearing it and cleaning it up with different filters. And it is one of the more really cool, spectacular footages that we've had.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool looking. I think that's really good footage. It's very curious.
It feels like something out of the Twilight Zone, something out of... Does anybody remember, was it Chiller Theater or Thriller Theater? Do you remember, I think it used to be on our channel 11, a hand with 6 fingers coming up from the ground and kind of like waving and then going back under. Oh man, I gotta look that up. Was that Chiller Theater or Thriller Theater? I forget what it was. I think it was channel 11 because we had 2, 4, and 7. Gosh, this is way back with rabbit ears, guys. But anyway, this is a pretty cool one. That's a pretty cool one. There's a lot of cool ones. Bob Lazar said, I never believed in flying saucers. Then I saw an American flag on one. Yeah. Again, and you might have seen a Nazi Germany flag on them before the American flag and before Operation Paperclip.
Yeah, it's just like everybody has their part to play, and he's played one. And the thing is Bob Lazar, the things he describes out of Area 51 in Groom Lake. I used to live pretty close to there. So the things that he talked about, I had already seen, and I saw them, experienced them for myself. So it's all very very interesting to see it from this new perspective so many years later.
Yeah, Sin Havoc says Trump isn't the Messiah proper. I think his vision in there we go. I think it's more like the one that's the voice crying in the wilderness. I see it more as a John the Baptist. What happened to John the Baptist? Do you remember what happened to him? He had a very close shave. He lost his head, for those that don't know. Yeah, so that's what I see as Trump being kind of the John the Baptist. Have you guys ever seen this video? This is really wild. This says it's yet to be debunked. There were various sightings in Turkey, and this one shows entities that feel very, very real and very, very gray. Can you see? I've shown this to Cindy, and I'll let her share her thoughts.
Well, I've seen this, and I found this very, very legitimate. The way the beings look, how they operate, what they're doing, the vibe, all of that. It's just our world is getting ready to change. And I really think that people are going to still, even if they are awake, people are going to have a really hard time with the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Of course. When you look at the Bible and it says people have entertained angels unaware, the Greek translation for the New Testament angel word literally means messenger. So you've met and entertained messengers from other realms, and you didn't even know it, because some of them look just like us. Other ones don't. Other ones have faces only a mother could love. Yeah, absolutely. There is a breakaway civilization. I don't think it's a government entity, and they may also live off planet. The Pentagon every once in a while announces we've misplaced $1 trillion. What they're really saying is we've hidden that from you. Whitley Strieber left these thoughts again. Breakaway civilization. Well, again, I feel like we are a civilization in isolation. We're a civilization that's been in isolation, and we've also been isolated from knowing the truth of our reality and our existence.
Yeah, I think we've been for a while, up until recently. I think, when did they start showing like a lot of the drones coming out? A couple years ago. I think that there was something in place where we were to live just thinking that it's just us, just us for a little while so we could develop on our own. But, here we are. Everything is being cracked open, and everyone's belief systems are all being tested. And, when it comes to belief systems, you never want to nail yourself completely to a wall with a belief that is certain, because really, if it's only a belief and there's no actual experience behind it, that's exactly it. You're watching CNN, you're watching Fox. It's the experiential stuff that, you feel solid with, things that you can truly trust yourself. Because I feel the belief system has been used. It's been used as a weapon. I mean, look how powerful it is. Just when someone truly thinks that they believe something, look what they are able to be talked into doing. What about those witch trials? What about all those other people, that Trail of Tears? Somebody was telling somebody a story that they believed so deep in their heart that they felt like they had to follow through with harming other humans. So that's how powerful the belief system is, and I think we should recognize that maybe.
Absolutely. Mark McCarthy was saying, "Hey gang, best wishes. My RA, I'm taking that to be rheumatoid arthritis, has gotten so bad I'm afraid I have to get into assisted living tomorrow. My brother is already there, so at least we'll have each other. Thanks, Mike and Cindy." Mark, my favorite corporate job was running retirement communities. I worked for a company called Holiday Retirement, who was the biggest independent living retirement community company in the U.S. I think they were all bought out, if I remember right. But I loved it, and I loved interacting with people there, and I loved trying to put smiles on people's lives. It was, some of the most heartbreaking, but also some of the most fulfilling things I've done. And, it was really wonderful working with the seniors, and I really do enjoy that. For arthritis, especially rheumatoid arthritis, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis after being bitten by the tick way back, when I originally got Lyme. And it got worse the second time I had my blood tested for that, and then it went away, and it's stayed away. How did it stay away? It's really through very, very strict diet, and that's really it. And just energy work, doing the Qigong, drawing in the life force, and having a regular exercise program, a very holistic program, because we pay pretty equal attention between meditation, mantras, resistance workouts, and cardio. We put them all, in there on a regular basis, and it is our religion.
Well, it is, because it's also what we do, the work that we do, the intuitive work that we do, and we help other people build their intuition as well. So that does require strict diet, strict exercise program, and just, overall clean way, because you're holding space for people, and you're holding space so that they too can put their bodies and systems into a state of healing. So, it's nothing but good. You definitely, you can't go wrong with having, like, at least as strict as you can make it, world that you're taking care of yourself in. Self-love is something that needs to be taught right out of the womb, because we're pretty much taught to hate ourselves right out of the womb. They're teaching us, no, that's wrong. Right away, they're teaching us, you don't do it this way, you do it that way. So it's so hard when that's already ingrained in you to learn how to love yourself enough and give yourself the proper nutrients that you need to survive. And I mean, this world is just so upside down, and it's hard to live in.
It is challenging. It's very challenging in these times, but we got to be there for each other. And so we're sending you love and energy and healing, Mark. In the sky over Los Angeles, May 4th, 2026, 11 p.m., Eyewitness states, I saw what looked like lights coming off of a rather large craft behind the clouds in the Griffith Park area of Los Angeles. So not this. This is like a reflection on the windshield. But these other lights, and you can see the trees block them out when the trees go in front. Is that a real massive ship, or a whole bunch of ships, or is that just, I don't know. It's odd. Kind of reminds me of Close Encounters of the Third Kind a little bit.
Yeah, it does look like a Close Encounter ship. I do believe that there's a lot of light ships up there. There's a lot of ships up there. Some of them are us, and some of them are not. And it's just that this world, they always talk about us being a melting pot. Well, it's a melting pot in a different way too.
What do you make of that?
Another light ship, Pleiadian.
Costa Rica.
Yeah, these I feel strongly are Pleiadian light ships, and they're out there. There seems to be more and more sightings too.
Yeah, this is in Costa Rica, and the woman filming says it's a sign from God. Yeah, again, we take it as angels and God, and it's Pleiadians. They're, kind of friends and family when you get down to it. Again, the Pleiades are inhabited by a lot of beings that were over in the Lyran system, and the wars caused a lot of people to have to become refugees and leave their home world. Yeah, it's pretty wild. But again, when they tell us Star Wars and give us, it was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but it's still the same thing today. It's an interdimensional, intergalactic battle. Look at this. This is a castle in China filled with 1,000 cats. as they sleep and wait to be petted. Pretty wild stuff. You know, we had to, the video we did yesterday, I had to edit out because, like, one of the little things that we were letting run in the back about, like, an animal, it was a bunch of puppies. Then we get, like, a thing that it's copyright, whatever, and you're not going to be able to monetize it or what have you, restricted. So we had to have it cut out, which just eliminated our sign off. But this is, again, part of the way things are in this world. Look at all those kitty cats living, like princes and princesses in a castle. How beautiful. So Cindy will give us a ding, and I will sign off with Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. May my own words, thoughts, acts, and deeds contribute to the happiness and freedom of all. That is truly our prayer.
Thank you so much, Miss KK and Bob Hawk, for your help with for your help tonight. That really lets us keep going. And you guys know the drill. We are going to do dings, so please hold a space in your heart that humanity is free from these data centers, whatever is going on, you know, that they no longer continue to harm us, our planet, and just whatever you want for yourself or for your planet, and prayers for loved ones and people going through a hard time. This is all for you guys. This is what we do. We hold this and then we do the dings, and it helps. It just helps. Biofield tuning, if you don't know much about it, do look it up. It's extremely helpful for the energy field. It's extremely healthy, and light and sound healing, this is the way forward. This is what we're doing. So here we go. You guys are amazing. Source bless and namaste.
Much love and thanks, guys. We love you all. Namaste.